Hello everybody and welcome on today's video. Today I'd like to start a forest with these larches. I picked them up in the forest as seedlings more than 2 years ago, maybe 3, and I planted them in this big pot just to let them grow and see what's going on. So I have already now new needles on these trees. So I can tell which ones are alive and which ones are not alive, but I think it's looking quite okay. So I'm going to get them out of the pot, do something about the roots, and prepare them to become a forest. That means that I'm going to put them in a tray, and well, it will of course not be definitive, but first of all, we need to have a look at what we have, and especially how the roots are looking. So let's start. The start of a forest is always big fun, I think, because well, after a few hours it already looks quite nice. So yeah. And I don't have large trees, so this doubles the pleasure for me. As you can see, we have a solid block of roots. So we're gonna start on this side with this little tree, and yeah, I already see nice little roots here. So the work for now is just get this loose and get the trees out one by one without tearing everything apart and without damaging anything. And well, of course this is going to take a while, so I don't think you are interested in seeing me scratching tons of soil. So I'll be back when this is all done. As you can see, there are hydro balls in the mix. It's always nice to have them as a bottom layer. But I'll be back in for you a few seconds, and for me, well, it might take some more time to get them out, and then I'll see what I have, and I'll be back. So see you. So I got them out, put them back in the pot just to not walk on them. So I need to clean them a little bit more now. So you see there's still a whole lot of soil on them, and instead of just tearing it, I'm going to plunge it in a bucket of water and wiggle it up and down, which will clear out a whole lot of the problems that I would encounter otherwise. So now I can see the roots, which is of course much better. And what I'm going to do for every tree now is try to find a spot where I have a radial root pattern. So I don't really care if the roots are thick or thin everywhere. I'm looking for a radial root pattern. So this is looking quite okay. Here I have nice roots around it. This is too high. This one is too high, so it's no good. Gonna cut it off. This is a very thick root, very good for the tree probably, but not good for me because it's too high. And here the same, too high, so gotta come off, which means that I removed, well, this part of the roots already. Gonna clean it again. And as you can see now, I already have a very nice radial root system here. And I'm going to balance these roots. Now I'm just going to take them all together. And I will say that I have enough with this. So I remove another part. So I removed maybe a third to, well, maybe a little more. Still going to look for really bad roots. This one is, can you see it's going like this, which will result in a complete disaster if I don't cut it off, because this root is going to twist around and around and around, and it will make deep cuts in the tree. So I think for starters this is a real nice root pattern already. And then we need to search for the taproot. The taproot is the thickest root, and it is this one, you see. And this one I'm going to shorten. Like so. And again I remove this part. So now I remove half of the roots. So this is more than enough. So let's do that for every tree, and I'll be back when this is done. I have all the trees now in a tray full of water, and the purpose is to put them in this mica tray here. You see, I drilled a whole lot of extra holes in it. That's why I like mica so much. One thing that I have to notice is look at this tree, for example. The roots are quite okay. See, it's a radial pattern. It's not bad. Could be better. But if I look at this radial root pattern, well, you can see that the tree is not really growing straight then. And most of the time, well, these large trees, well, they are straight. In a forest they are at least. So I will have to try to put this straight, and therefore I'm going to wire some of these trees before I plant them. I'm using a copper wire. Very strong copper wire. It's electrical wire, and this should give the tree a much straighter shape. And it's important to do that as soon as possible, because well, every year it's going to become a whole lot more difficult to do that. It could of course result in a snapping tree. It could result in some scarring on the tree, but yeah, well, it will be what it will be. And I think that in the end it's worth it. So they're quite flexible, you know, so it's okay. So this is much better. So this is straight, and yeah, I will have to do that with some of the trees, and when I did that, well, we can plant the forest. Okay, so far so good, and well, I hope that I did not cut off too much from the roots. We'll see. So this is a good layer of thick lava for drainage, and it gives a nice start for the trees. Okay, and now we are going to position the trees, and we start with the thickest one. So I have two here, they're quite big. Yeah, well, they're almost the same. This one's a little taller. Okay. So what I want to do now is shorten everything a little. Going to cut back to buds that are looking okay and pointing in the right direction. You can go do this very quickly also, but well, I like to take my time to do these things. One thing that you already can keep in mind is that if you have small branches here, don't do too much. If you have thicker branches here, do a little more, because, well, you don't want the branches here to become bigger than the branches there. So you want exactly the opposite. So here we can cut off a little more and maybe choose another leader already for this one. So, and here we have a fork, which is cool because you can easily wire this. And for the rest, let's just get this a little shorter. We took off some of the roots, of course, a fair amount in some trees. So you cannot ask the tree to support all this foliage. And even at the top. So as you can see, this tree is quite, well, it looks okay, but the roots are here, the nice roots. We don't have a whole lot in the front of this tree, and it's because how it was planted. So it should come a little bit this way, but these are things we do not care for the moment, because the only thing that matters now is having these trees growing with a flat root system. And keep them all alive. So wiring and things like that, well, it's not really the point now. So I'm making a little hill with nice bonsai soil. I'm trying to keep the tree like this. Do I like it? I kind of like it. And I'm mostly focusing on the root spread now. So this is radial, this looks nice. And I'm going to cover it a little and hope that it stays in position, which is always the tricky part with forests. It's always a disaster and they fall over, but yeah, that's what it is. So I'm going to prune the trees. This one's thicker, so this is very a large larch. So again, I have to get off quite a lot. Saw a video of Peter Chen last time, and he did this very quickly. I like to take my time for this, but I'm not going to make 7 videos of this. But yeah. Well, I'm going to prepare these trees off camera, leaving 2 or 3 open buds on every tree, and of course always trying to take a outward facing one so that it grows in the right direction. That looks good. Okay, so because I have a big one, quite a big one here, maybe this one is a little bigger, so I'm going to put this one a little more in the back and this one a little more in the front, like so maybe. Yeah, This one looks thinner and this one is smaller, so I'm going to make this one smaller, which is very easy. You just have to cut off a piece. So now it's better. So this one comes here, etc. The main thing when you plant a forest is try to create some perspective. It's not that easy, that difficult. It's just a question of putting the big trees in the front, because what's in the front will look bigger already. So that's the first two trees. I think it's okay. It's not really the point now, I told you. The health of the trees is the main purpose here. So I'm going to continue cleaning up the trees, and I'll be back for the rest of the planting. Every tree is prepared, and well, this is the tricky part now, getting the trees together in one tray. So always pick the thickest and largest tree that you can. Well, that's how I do it. I mean, it's everyone has his own way. And well, if you see that there is a tree which has a nice branching at one side, well, it's best to put it on the side. And always keep an eye on the roots. So this one, maybe I could put it here. No, I think I'm going to move these two a whole lot more in the front, because I need some space to put the others. And this is how the madness starts. Yeah. Okay, so this one here. So it's just a basic plan, you know. In a year or two, if everything is doing okay, I will have to move all these trees again and see what I can do to put them in maybe a better position. When you make a forest, try not to work too symmetrical. It's something that doesn't look natural. So if every tree has the same, if the distance between two trees are always the same, it's becoming quite boring. So you can take a big one and put a small one, like this one, right behind it, which will result in a more natural look for your forest. This one has really defectuous roots going all over the place, or even growing upwards. So here putting quite a large amount of soil on it should help. And you see, if you try to move these trees in the exact position where you want them, it's not gonna work. And it's not something you should mind the first year. If the roots are already flat next time and the tree is healthy, it's okay. You see, it's twisting, it's curling. I should put it a little more straight, but it's not now. Same here. This one could come a little closer to this one. maybe like so. This one has nice roots. See, already a nice radial pattern, so that's very good. So you make a little hill, put the tree on top of the hill, and then you take the roots at the side and you press them down. Try to get the tree as straight as possible, and then with your mix you fix the tree. Okay, it stands. So now we are beginning bad roots. You see, it's really growing up, so have to, maybe you can break it a little. Going to put this one here. Yeah, need some room here to work. Put the bed root down and try to bury it as soon as possible so that it stays in position. And then try to fix the other roots by pushing them in the soil, like so. I have no clue how much trees I have here. I must say that I don't really care. If you cannot count them in a few seconds, then this whole uneven number thing is completely obsolete. Okay, and now for the really small ones, try to put them in the back. See, everything is very wiggly here. But next time I repot this tree, the roots will be much better and it will be a whole lot easier. Now I have 1, 2, 3 little ones, so maybe I'll give. Yeah, what do you think? Maybe here in the back one. Like so. Oh. Okay. I hope I'm not standing too much in the camera line. Gonna put one here as an accent and one here in the back. So this one has roots and branches everywhere, so it's okay to put that here. Now for the aftercare, which is of course very important, this tree will, this forest will need to be in the shadow for a few weeks. And I have a last one here. I'm gonna put that over here. Okay. Now one thing that bothered me since the beginning is that the two major trees are leaning backwards, which is not good, and well, we can do something about that, but first we need to cover all the roots. And then by positioning the soil you can rearrange the position of the trees a little bit. But I must say that I'm quite happy with the result for the first planting of a forest. This is not bad, and they did not all fall over, which is a miracle. Most of the time when I do that I have to redo it several times because I get stuck with my shirt and then I pull one tree over and then they all fall down. So I'm going to grab a chopstick. Before I continue, let's have a look. Maybe I can zoom in just a little for you. So yeah, okay. So I want the trees to come a little more forward. So I'm going to take one tree like I want it to be positioned, and then I'm going to work the soil in by just putting my chopstick in the soil and then work the soil in around the roots, and when I let go, the tree stays where it is supposed to be. Always overdo it a little because it bounces back. And so now I have to work the soil in for all the trees, and I'll be back when this is done. Some people like to plant forests with a few straight trees, and then the others they go that way. I hate it. I really don't like it. I think it is absolutely not natural. I never saw a forest with the trees that are growing completely to the side. Sometimes you see trees when with more branches, of course, and they are leaning a little bit to one side. That's possible, but sometimes it's just well, I'm sorry to say, but ridiculous. And I think it should look natural and plausible. So I'll be back when all this soil is well established. So to conclude this video, I'm just going to add some pieces of moss, especially on spots where I see that some of the roots are sticking out, because it's going to keep these roots down and keep them moist. And well, moss always adds a little color. Pressing the moss down quite deeply, as deep as I possibly can. Oh, missed the root here. So the moss on top, like so. And well, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Just hoping that the trees will survive this operation, which is not always the case, but you have to start somewhere, and that's exactly what I did today. So the tree now needs a good watering, and then it will stay in the shadow for a couple of weeks. So this is what we have now, the start of a new large forest. As you see, I try to work in three-dimensional, and that's what we have, and this is where we are going to stop this video. So thank you for watching, and see you next time.